Welcome to this explosive edition of Celebrity Showdowns, where the silver screen meets the daytime drama in the most unexpected way imaginable. Today, we're diving deep into the scandal that's got the entire entertainment world buzzing like a hive of angry bees on a sugar rush. Gary Oldman, the brooding genius behind iconic roles in films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Darkest Hour, where he snagged that well-deserved Oscar for channeling Winston Churchill's gravelly resolve, finds himself unceremoniously booted from the set of ITV's long-running gabfest Loose Women. Yes, you heard that right, of the man who's mastered the art of simmering intensity on screen. From the shadowy depths of Leon, the Professional, to the vampire killer in Bram Stoker's Dracula, has now collided headfirst with the unfiltered firecracker that is Denise Welch, the queen of candid confessions on British telly. Picture this: it's a crisp autumn morning in the heart of London's bustling studios, the kind where the Thames fog clings to everything like a bad hangover, and the Loose Women panel is primed for another round of cheeky chit-chat, heartfelt heart-to-hearts, and the occasional verbal volley that leaves audiences gasping for more. The show, which has been a staple since 1999, boasts a rotating roster of bold personalities. Think Colleen Nolan's no-nonsense northern grit, Janet Street Porter's razor-sharp wit, and of course, Denise Welch, the 66-year-old powerhouse whose life story reads like a soap opera script she herself might have penned during her stints on Coronation Street and Waterloo Road. Denise, with her trademark bob haircut framing a face that's equal parts warmth and warrior, has built a career on spilling the tea without a strainer. From her battles with addiction and depression that she's turned into triumphs of advocacy, to her unapologetic defenses of everything from Meghan Markle to the modern workforce's right to a lie-in. But on this fateful day, November 5, 2025, just 4 days before our current date, the studio lights hot enough to fry an egg on the desk, Gary Oldman strides in, all tailored suit and that signature squint, ready to promote his latest directorial venture, a gritty biopic about a forgotten rock legend from the 70s underground scene. Little does he know, the real drama is about to eclipse any script he's ever read. As the audience settles with their cups of PG tips and the theme music fades as if that upbeat, empowering tune that's become synonymous with women owning the airwave, as a host Charlene White flashes her megawatt smile and introduces the guest. Joining us today, the one, the only, Academy Award winner Gary Oldman. Applause erupts, polite at first, then building as Gary takes his seat, crossing those legs with the casual elegance of a man who's dined with royalty and dodged paparazzi in equal measure. He's here to talk shop, you see, about the nuances of directing actors to bare their souls, the painstaking process of recreating era-specific dialects that make history leap off the page, and perhaps a light-hearted nod to his days as Sid Vicious in Sid and Nancy, where he captured the punk rock chaos with a ferocity that still echoes in dive bars worldwide. But Denise, seated to his left, her eyes already twinkling with that mischievous glint, leans in like a detective spotting a clue. She's no stranger to controversy. Just last year, she went toe-to-toe with co-panelist Stacey Solomon over generational work ethics, defending the post-pandemic shift to flexible hours with a passion that had viewers tweeting #TeamDenise for days. And now, with Gary, a man twice her size in presence if not in frame, she smells blood in the water, or rather, a chance to prod the patriarchal underbelly of Hollywood that she's long railed against. The segment kicks off innocently enough. Charlene tosses the first softball, asking Gary about the challenges of helming a project after years of being the go-to character actor, the chameleon who disappears into roles so completely that fans forget he's the same bloke. Gary, ever the professional, launches into a measured monologue, his voice that rich baritone honed from decades of stage and screen, describing how stepping behind the camera felt like shedding a skin I'd worn too long, emerging raw and vulnerable to the judgments of the world. The audience nods appreciatively, a few older ladies in the front row clutching their handbags as if to steady their admiration. But Denise isn't nodding, she's tapping her manicured nails on the desk, her mind clearly racing ahead to the juicier territory. She's read the headline as Gary's past admissions of a tumultuous personal life, his divorces that tabloids turned into tabloid gold, his candid talks about alcoholism that mirrored her own struggles, and most provocatively, his views on political correctness in the arts, where he's famously quipped that the industry's woke brigade might stifle creativity. Denise, a self-proclaimed socialist firebrand who's marched for women's rights and lambasted the Tories on air, sees this as her opening salvo. As Gary pauses for breath, she interjects with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. "Gary, love, you've played every tortured soul under the sun, but let's be real, Hollywood's still a boys' club. How many times have you had to fight for a woman director on your set? Or are we still pretending that equality's arrived just because a few skirts are in the boardroom?" The studio falls into a hush, broken only by the faint whir of cameras and the collective intake of breath from the panel. Gary's eyes narrow, that Oldman intensity flickering like a storm cloud gathering force. This isn't the fluffy promo chat he signed up for. This is a gauntlet thrown down in the name of sisterhood, and he's not about to backpedal. What follows is a masterclass in controlled combustion, a verbal tango where every step is laced with subtext, every glance a dagger dipped in intellect. Denise presses on, her Geordie accent thickening with fervor, recounting stats on female representation in film. Only 16% of directors last year were women, she declares, pulling figures from a mental Rolodex that's as sharp as her tongue. Gary counters smoothly, acknowledging the disparity but defending his choices. "I've mentored more women than I can count, Denise, but art isn't a quota system, it's about merit, raw and unfiltered." The exchange heats up, words flying like sparks from a flinted Denise accusing the industry of gatekeeping genius and ovaries, Gary retorting that passion like hers is what makes change, but blame isn't a director's chair. The audience is riveted, some cheering Denise's barbs, others murmuring support for Gary's poise. Co-panelists attempt to mediate Nadia Sawalha with her soothing diplomacy, calling Nolan cracking a joke about needing a referee, but the die is cast. As the clock ticks toward commercial break, Denise lands what she thinks is the knockout. "So, Gary, when are you stepping aside for the next generation of she-wolves?" His response? "A cool, cutting when they've earned the howl." Denise not handed it on a silver platter of grievance. Gasps ripple through the studio, and just like that, producers signal frantically from the wings. Gary's mic is cut mid-applause, his chair scooted back as security, a polite but firm, escorts him toward the exit. The screen fades to ads, but the internet, it's already ablaze. Back from the break, and oh, the Loose Women studio is a powder keg with the fuse lit, the air thick with the scent of fresh scandal and the faint aroma of Christine Lampard's herbal tea going cold on the desk. Denise Welch sits there, unbowed, her cheeks flushed not with regret but with the righteous glow of a crusade just begun, while the panel circles like sharks scenting chum. Charlene White, ever the unflappable anchor, steers the ship with a forced levity. "Well, that was certainly spirited." "Denise, what on earth just happened?" But before Denise can uncork her defense, the Twitterverse sorry, X fury erupts in a digital fireworks display. Hashtags like #Gary vs Denise, #LooseWomen walkout, and #Hollywood takedown trending faster than you can say viral clip. Clips of the exchange are dissected frame by frame. Gary's jaw clench at the 2:14 mark, Denise's eyebrow arch that could curdle milk. The awkward freeze frame as his exit music swells prematurely. Fans of the actor, a legion built from his Harry Potter Sirius Black days to his Slow Horses espionage cool, flood the feeds with outrage. "Gary Oldman is a legend. Denise Welch just got schooled," tweets one devotee, attaching a meme of Gary as Dracula hissing at a stake. Meanwhile, the Loose Women faithful, those loyal viewers who've tuned in for therapy sessions disguised as talk shows, rally behind Denise. "About time someone called out the old boys network." #stand with Denise, posts a user from Newcastle, echoing her hometown pride. Gary, holed up in his trailer just offset, nursing a black coffee stronger than his Nolan villainy, fields calls from his agent who's apoplectic. "This was supposed to be a puff piece, Gary." Now it's front page fodder, but Gary, true to form, chuckles darkly. It's not the first time he's been the villain in real life. After all, his marriages to Danya Fiorentino and Alexandra Edinburgh ended in tabloid tempests, and his 2018 interview blasting political correctness in the arts drew fire from all sides, yet he emerged scar-free, his talent a Teflon shield. Now, as he scrolls through the backlash, he spots support from unexpected quarters, fellow thespians like Ralph Fiennes, who DMs him a thumbs-up emoji, and even Ricky Gervais, the king of controversy, who tweets, "Gary, mate, you handled that better than I would've." Denise is a foreseer, respect the scrap. Indeed, the parallels to Gervais' own hypothetical dust-ups, whispers of fabricated YouTube sagas swirl, only amp the buzz, turning this into a meta moment for British banter. Back in the studio, Denise is in full flow, her voice rising like a tide as she unpacks the why behind her whys. "Look, loves," she says, gesturing expansively to the camera as if confiding in a pub mate, "I've spent years on this show fighting for the voiceless women in Hollywood get the scraps while blokes like Gary feast on the prime cuts. It's not personal, it's principle." She launches into anecdotes from her own career, the Coronation Street days where she played the fiery Natalie Horrocks, sparring with Steve McDonald, and scenes that mirrored her real-life tenacity, the Waterloo Road tenure where she tackled mental health head-on, drawing from her bipolar diagnosis to infuse authenticity that resonated with millions. "I see Gary, this brilliant actor who's shaped my Friday nights with slow horses, but I also see the system that props him up. When he talks merit, darlings, whose merit? The one with the old boys nod?" The panel nods, some vigorously. Akel Bryan chimes in with stats on pay gaps, how female stars earn 77p to every male pounder while others, like Gloria Hunniford, venture a mild caution. "He seemed a gentleman." Denise perhaps a touch of olive branch. But Denise waves it off, her laugh a mix of mirth and menace. "Gentleman? Aye, till the conversation gets thorny. Remember my row with Stacey? We hugged it out off air, but the point stood." And oh, that Stacey Solomon clash, a June 2024's gem, where Denise decried remote work as societal sabotage, Stacey firing back with millennial moxie, the whole thing ending in awkward giggles but sparking think pieces on generational rifts. It's Denise's mo, poke the bear, provoke the ponder, then pour the tea. As the segment trolls, viewer calls flood the line as a pro. Denise from Manchester Housewives praising her gutsy glamour, anti from LA Cinephiles decrying ambush journalism. Gary, meanwhile, decides to lean in. His publicist leaks a statement to The Sun, "A robust debate is the lifeblood of art." Denise Welch is a formidable woman and no hard feelings, but next time, "I'll bring my boxing gloves." The line blurs between jest and jab, fueling fan fiction forums where users script sequels, Gary directing Denise in a biopic of their spat. By midday, ITV switchboard melts, executives huddling in glass-walled war rooms, debating apologies versus amplifications. Is this a PR nightmare or a ratings rocket? History suggests the latter. Loose Women thrives on tempests, from the Meghan Markle meltdowns of 2022 where Denise defended the Duchess against trolls, earning both brickbats and bouquets, to intrapanel fireworks that keep the 2.5 million daily viewers hooked. Gary's camp plays it coy, hinting at a podcast appearance to set the record straight, while Denise, fresh from makeup touch-up, whispers to a runner, "That man's got fiery, I like him more now." The afternoon wears on, with celebrity tweeters piling on. Judi Dench sends a private note to Gary lauding his restraint, while Phoebe Waller-Bridge retweets clip with "This is why we need more women asking the hard questions # disrupt the narrative." As the sun dips low over the London Eye, casting long shadows on the studio lot, one thing's crystal: this exchange isn't ending with an escort offset. It's the spark for a bonfire of vanities, where egos clash and truths tumble out, reminding us that behind every polished interview lurks the raw pulse of human discord. And in the eye of this storm, two titans, Gary with his Shakespearean depth, Denise with her street-smart soul, each walking away taller, if a tad bruised. As the dust settles on the Loose Women saga, or rather, as the confetti of controversy explodes across every news feed from BBC Breakfast to TMZ's red carpet rundown to the deeper layers of this, Gary Oldman, Denise Welch, Donnybrook begin to peel back like an onion in a tearjerker scene from one of Gary's own films. Let's rewind the reel a bit, shall we? Gary Oldman, born Leonard Gary Oldman in 1958 in the gritty New Cross of South London, Grew up in a council flat where dreams of the stage were as tangible as the damp walls, his father a former sailor turned absent figure, his mother a homemaker who instilled resilience with every boiled dinner. From those humble beginnings, he clawed his way to the Royal Court Theatre, then exploded onto screens with Sid and Nancy in 1986, transforming into the heroin-hazed punk icon so convincingly that even John Lydon, the real Johnny Rotten, tipped his hat. Fast forward through a kaleidoscope of characters to the corrupt cop in State of Grace, the devilish Dean Sweeter in The Fifth Element, the snarling George Smiley in Tinker Tailor, and you land on 2018's Darkest Hour, where his Churchillian growl and cigar-chomping bluster netted a golden statuette, silencing doubters who had pigeonholed him as just a supporting player. But beneath the accolades lies a man who's weathered personal whirlwinds, 4 marriages, battles with the bottle that saw him vanish into retreats more monastic than Malibu, and a philosophy of acting as emotional archaeology, digging up the psyche's fossils to forge something eternal. It's this vulnerability, perhaps, that made him agree to Loose Women a chance to humanize the icon, chat about his directorial debut The Rebel Yell, a film chronicling the rise and riotous fall of a 70s glam rocker whose excesses mirror Gary's own whispered histories. Enter Denise Welch, stage left, a Tyneside tornado born in 1958, same year as Gary, but worlds apart in trajectory. Daughter of a BBC engineer, she traded secretarial dreams for spotlight ones, landing Coronation Street in 1997 as the sultry barmaid whose affair with a much younger man shocked Weatherfield and won her hearts. But glory came with ghouls, postpartum depression that spiraled into addiction, a suicide attempt in 1997 that she later chronicled in her memoir The Unwelcome Visitor, turning pain into purpose as an advocate for mental health charities. Loose Women became her pulpit since 2005. A platform where she's dissected everything from body positivity to Brexit blunders, her candor earning her the moniker Britain's most honest mouth. Her marriage to Lincoln Townley, the artist whose pop art portraits grace celeb walls, grounded her. But not before a first union with TV exec Tim Healy birthed sons Matthew, frontman of the 1975, whose lyrics echo Denise's emotional rawness, and Louis, both unwitting heirs to her spotlight. Denise's fire isn't borrowed, it's forged in forges of feminism and frankness, seen in her 2022 Meghan defense that pitted her against co-stars Jane Moore and Gloria Hunniford, a row so rowdy it trended nationwide. So, when these 258 babies collide on November 5th, it's less random spark and more cosmic convergence, a clash of eras where Gary's old-school meritocracy meets Denise's equity evangelism. The exchange, in hindsight, wasn't ambush so much as alchemy. Denise's opener on women directors wasn't ad-libbed sheet prep notes, fueled by a fresh Guardian op-ed on Hollywood's gender chasm, her passion ignited by chats with daughter-in-law Denise Welch, no relation, but a kindred spirit in showbiz struggles. Gary, expecting the usual tell us about Churchill's growl fluff, found himself in a Socratic seminar. His responses laced with barbs honed from years of press junkets where he skewered sanctimony. Married over grievance, he said, but unpack that. It's the creed of a self-made survivor who credits no handouts. Yet Denise hears echoes of privilege, the invisible ladder men like him climb while women claw the rungs. Post-ejection, the ripples spread. Gary's film premiere that evening in Leicester Square draws a phalanx of fans chanting "We love you, Gary." While paps shout questions about that bird Welch, he obliges with a wink. Denise, sharp as a stiletto, keeps you on your toe. Denise, meanwhile, heads to the green room for a GT debrief with the girls, her phone alight with texts from Maddie. "Mum, you slayed but call me before tweeting." Her response, a thread dissecting the debate, linking to resources on women in film, garnering 50K likes by time. Media mandarins weigh in. The Daily Mail splashes Oldman outrage, with sidebar jabs at Denise's outbursts, while The Guardian hails her as the voice feminism needs in fractious times. Social media morphs into a coliseum. TikTok teens remix the clip with punk riffs from Gary's Sid days. Instagram influencers debate allyship versus authenticity, and Reddit's Out of the loop threads balloon with explainers blending bios and beefs. Gary's exes stay silent, classy as ever, but his slow horses co-star Jack Lowden posts a cryptic debate is the oxygen of progress, nodding to their shared Scottish roots. Denise's camp counters with charity plugs, turning iron to impact, auctioning signed scripts for women's shelters. By evening, ITV teases a special follow-up, hinting at reconciliation or round 2. While Gary jets to LA for reshoots, his mind already scripting the scene, a fictional spat where actor and activist find common ground over shared scars. This isn't just tittle-tattle, it's a microcosm of cultural crossfire, where one man's ejection becomes everyone's education, proving that in the arena of ideas, no one's truly kicked off, they're just past the mic. And as night falls, with Gary toasting solitude in a hotel bar and Denise hugging her boys over shepherd's pie, the world watches, waiting for the encore. Dawn breaks on November 6, 2025, and the Gary Oldman-Denise Welch saga has metastasized overnight, morphing from studio skirmish to full-blown media maelstrom that dominates Good Morning Britain's headlines and Lorraine Kelly's tea time tea spilling. Gary wakes in his Kensington Mews house, the one with the bookshelf groaning under tomes from Pindar to Proust, to an inbox avalanche. Interview requests from Variety to Vanity Fair, all angling for the untold side. He opts for a low-key spot on BBC Radio 4's Today programme, where his measured tones recount the rumpus without rancor. Denise is a battler, the kind who reminds us why stories matter, to challenge, to provoke. No regrets. It was electric. His words, laced with that Oldman gravitas, soothe some feathers, but ignite others. Of feminist forums decry it as performative allyship, parsing his phrasing like scripture. Across town, Denise is up with the lark, filming a promo for her latest play, The Last Witch, a one-woman tour de force on historical misogyny that now feels prophetically poignant. Over a full English at her local cafe copyright, she chats with the Times' Libby Purvis, dishing details with disarming directness. Gary's a genius, pet. But genius doesn't excuse the blind spots. I pushed because I carry about the lasses coming up behind me, script in hand, dreams in eyes. Her candor converts critics, even mail online softens, running a sidebar on her advocacy wins. From lobbying for better bipolar portrayal on telly to her 2023 MBE for services to mental health. The panel reconvenes for that teased follow-up, but sans Gary ITV's olive branch is a pre-recorded apology from producers. We value all voices. Yesterday's passion was just that. The ladies dissected Liv, Denise leading with laughter. Apology? For what? Speaking truth? Let's talk real fix. More she directors, equal pay. Viewership spikes 30%, proving controversy's currency. Gary's The Rebel trailer drops serendipitously. Its trailer featuring a fiery female led a coincidence or clapback. Fans connect dots, praising his subtle nod to Welch's wisdom. Celeb cameos cascade. Daniel Radcliffe, Gary's Potter Prot A tilde copyright GA tilde copyright, tweets mentor and magician a handle with respect, while Denise's son Matty Healy dedicates a 1975 gig to Mum's Unfiltered Fire, his setlists skewing toward anthems of rebellion. Broader beats emerge. Podcasts like The Rest Is Entertainment dedicate episodes to the Oldman effect, exploring how one spat spotlights systemic snags in showbiz, from casting couches to credit steals. Denise guests on Woman's Hour, weaving personal threads at her Coronation Street exit amid breakdown. The solace in Loose Women sisterhood and calls for mentorship mandates. Gary echoes on the Joe Rogan Experience, flying stateside for a 2-hour unpack. Acting's war debates are battles. Denise 1 points for passion. Rogan's bro nod draws diverse draw. Progressives praise the pivot. Purists pine for punchback. Social scrolls surge with solidarity. Women in film trends. Petitions for gender parity in directing hit 100K signatures, inspired by the duo's dust-up. Back in Blighty, Loose Women merch mugs emblazoned Speak Your Truth sells out, while Gary's box office for past pick sticks up. Darkest Hour streaming surges proving beef boosts backlists. Personal ripples touch. Gary calls an old collaborator, a female editor he'd undervalued. Amends made over Zoom. Denise mentors a young scriptwriter, her notes fierce but fostering. Media mirrors multiply satirical sketches on Have I Got News For You lampoon the lingo, with Ian Hislop quipping Gary's merits met Denise's medley Oscar for the exchange. Tabloids tally fallout, no lawsuits, but lawsuits against inequality loom larger. By week's end, a joint op-ed in The Observer proposes the Oldman-Welch Accord, panels with parity, guests with grit, debates as dialogues. They co-sign virtually, Gary from set, Denise from stage, their words a bridge over bothered waters, clash not crash let's collaborate. Fans feast on the forgiveness, forums filling with what-if collabs, Gary directing Denise as a punk matriarch. The echo chamber evolves into empowerment hub, where one fiery exchange fertilizes fields of change, sowing seeds for scripts yet unwritten, roles yet uncast. In this, the true triumph, not who won the war of words, but how the wounds birthed wisdom, turning a kickoff into a kickstart for kinder kinships in the cutthroat cosmos of entertainment. And as November 9th arrives, with autumn leaves swirling like unscripted plot twists, we see the script fleep not to sequel spite, but to symphonic synergy.